This computer. Okay, hello. Here we are with another Saturday Night Live Zoom, and we have a very special guest, Brianna. Brianna, I remember you from way back. You were one of the first, I believe, to jump on board, and your story I remembered clearly because you took the bull by the horns and just went for it. And you were busy working, and your people at the coworkers and stuff were freaking out on you and stuff. And that's what I remember right from your first Master Fast experience. But yeah, you have a really wonderful story, and you've been inspiring so many with your determination to um, be able to make it work and live the lifestyle, which so few willing to do, as we see. This is the understanding is it's a lifestyle. We've taught that right from the start. We've mentored people. Uh, Everybody's looking at other options as instant gratification world. But Brianna, let's maybe discuss how you came to be to Master Fast, how you found it, what was your lifestyle before, how you grew up. Maybe you want to give a little bit of that information so we get to know you a little better.
Yeah, okay. So growing up, until I was 9 years old, I guess we had a fairly normal kind of life as far as eating kind of like everybody else, and my father always struggled with his weight, and my mother never ate very much at all. They were like completely polarized, but and there wasn't an awful lot of food around because we didn't have like loads of money. But when I was 9 years old, my sister died. She had cystic fibrosis.
Oh boy!
And she was. And as a consequence of that, my father started asking questions, basically, and he wasn't prepared to accept that the doctors knew everything, and he started looking at how food can influence people's health, which, that was 1967. That was quite, at that time, quite unusual for someone to start asking those questions.
Mm-hmm. It's 67, yeah.
And started asking those questions, and I was only 9. But going forward into my early teens, that was what was happening in our family. My father was asking questions. He was experimenting with different ways of eating, and he was constantly reading. He loved to read aloud. And I remember, I do believe that he had Arnold Ehret's book, because I remember him talking about fasting and enemas. And I know he read The Great Cure. And, he would read aloud to us. And I would be kind of captivated by everything. I would, because I kind of adored my father. But at the same time, he would change things, and sometimes he'd be a certain way. And he was very strict. So if he caught us eating something he didn't approve of, he would make us feel very guilty. So there was like, it wasn't all sort of a bed of roses. So I developed a few issues around food as well. So I think that's affected me in my life.
Well, so he was already way ahead of most of us at that time.
He was very interested in, and he kept changing, experimenting, and my mum just did what he said. Basically, she was kind of very accepting, and she just went along. In fact, we did as a family, we did a 3-day water fast, and we also did a 3-day grape fast. When I was like a teenager, and I can remember jumping around and going, I really like feeling light. Because I feel so light. I can remember I can remember the feeling. I can remember being in the kitchen and just jumping about and going, I really like this light feeling, you know. And but my mum got some heavy detox symptoms, and my dad said he had to stop the fast because he got frightened because there was no support in those days. You know, he was just doing this on his own. But anyway, and so as I grew up through my life, I experimented myself with different things, different lifestyles, and sometimes I was just eating like everyone else, and then other times I was macrobiotic for a few years, and I was vegetarian on and off, and you know, just experimenting really. But the most important part of my life was I felt it was the journey of my heart. You know, that's been the ongoing theme for me, was opening my heart, the journey of my heart, wanting to open my heart and explore that realm, you know. And I met my spiritual teacher, and I received some meditation techniques that I kept going in all my life. And even though I married somebody who really wasn't interested in that side of things, I did keep going with my practice, and I still kept being experimental with. I knew there was a link as well between food and spirituality. I picked that up when I was young from my father as well, because we also read. He was reading like the Aquarian Gospel and the Asane Gospel, and he was just interested in that side of things as well. And my mum was kind of spiritual as well, because she was doing yoga and she would talk about prana, and you know, so there was this kind of stuff going on in my life from an early age, and I think I just became very accepting and open-minded that what everybody else, the life that everybody else at school or around me seemed to be living, didn't seem to quite fit with what I was feeling that life should be. I didn't ever feel like I really fitted in with everybody else's ideas of what life should be. I can remember sitting in a lesson in school and drawing outlines of people, and I was just sitting there drawing these outlines of people and then filling them in with like a bright yellow colour, and then drawing bright yellow all around them, and just feeling that there was no separation. That yellow was like a sort of divine energy. This is what I was feeling. I was probably about 12 or something, sitting in a school class and just looking at it and feeling like, well, there's no separation. There's the yellow God feeling inside, and there's the yellow all around. I was just seeing it as yellow. So I just think, you know, I couldn't relate to other kids at school because they were just interested in the world, the 3D world. And even though, you know, it did have its allure for me, you know, I was aware that it wasn't the be all and end all, that there was more. And that was always my driver. That was always what was in my heart. I was always underneath looking to connect with that part of people, not this stuff, form, you know, physical. That, what I always thought of as an undertow. So if I was talking to someone, there was a part of me that was always listening for that, always wanting to enact in the other person. And I even remember saying that sometimes to people, you know, I'm just listening out, you know, for what you're really saying, what's really going on in me. And I guess that's how I came to Master Fast, really. I mean, it's not the only, I did get ill. I started juicing a few years. For a start off, I had to realise I couldn't have gluten. So I cut out all gluten. And then and around that time, I started juicing. And I started, and I loved the whole idea, the whole concept of juicing and that, and feeling that energy. I got introduced into Jason Bale, who's an English guy. I started running, doing a bit of running. I was in my 40s, in my late 40s. And I think I must have, not really realising it, I must have sort of got some kind of detox going on, because I woke up one day and I couldn't move my left arm at all. And I was in complete agony. I'd been rebounding as well. So I was running, juicing, rebounding, and I think, you know, I'd had something going. I think what it was, my lymph nodes were probably clogged up, and I'd been moving lymph without realising, and my kidneys were probably not functioning well. And it was like somebody was constantly stabbing me with a stick in my armpit here, and I couldn't even peel a grapefruit. And so I couldn't go to work, and I was off work for quite some time. I couldn't even use the gear shift in the car, because I had a manual car, so I couldn't even change gear. And I've never had any faith in doctors. Because that's what I grew up with, you know. I was taught that as a child, you know, doctor, don't listen to the doctors, you know. So I didn't go to the doctor. I went to my chiropractor. But clearly it wasn't something muscular. And so I started investigating, first of all, different kind of positive thinking methods, and like trying to sort of connect with my energy, my healing energy inside. But I also thought I've got to find, you know, some way of changing my diet that's going to help. And I went on I don't know if you've ever heard of the Living Foods course, which is connected to Anne Wigmore. So I went on the Living Foods course, and I just thought, I can't, you know, this is not for me. It's just like the focus is so much on, you just spend your whole life thinking about food, and it just didn't feel right. The lady was lovely, she was really gorgeous, but it just didn't feel right. And then I started, I think I found the Arnold Eric group on the internet, the Mucusless Diet Healing System group, and also 80-10-10. So I started getting into a little bit more raw. And it's funny because I met Peter years and years ago, because he was my yoga teacher. And I'd started to reconnect with him. And it was funny because he'd started to get more interested in raw food as well. So I was getting interested in all this and trying to heal myself. And I noticed that when I started having mostly fruit and raw, my arms started to heal, started to get better, but it wasn't like fully healing. And like Peter was getting into the raw, and I was spending more time with him, and we were reading like loads. I was coming over, we would go for a walk and then come back to this place and read really beautiful, inspirational books like The Door of Everything and Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East and things like that. And we were talking about the shift a lot, you know, this coming change, this raising and vibration. And so I went back to work, but I was still really struggling. I was going to see an osteomyologist about twice a month, and he would put my ribs back in place because they were, and he'd say to me, just keep them there, just try to keep them there, you know, and he'd sort of push everything back in place, and I'd be back 2 weeks later, it had all popped out because my job was very physical. And I don't know, it was weird. One day I just saw this, you know, that first thing you used to have with the purple light plasma field thing, and it just popped up on my news feed. I have no idea where it came from. It's like, but something, I saw it, and you know when everything just stops, like time just stops momentarily, and you go like that. It was like that, and I knew, and I saved it because I didn't have time to look at it then, and I saved it, and I kept every now and then it come. I think I must go back and look at that. I must go back and look at that. And I was noticing that, you know, the more raw I was eating, the better my arm was, but it still wasn't completely right. And it was funny because then I think something came up on my news feed about Peter. Was at that time he was doing an orange juice fast. So it reminded me to look at that thing that I'd seen. And I looked on there. And the first thing I saw was Artie Anderson on the beach. And she was talking about dry fasting. And I'd never heard of dry fasting. I mean, I did know that some people lived without eating anything or drinking anything. Because I had read, years and years ago, I'd read autobiography of a yogi, and there's a lady, and I think she's a nun or something, and there's a lady in there, and she lives just on solar energy and on one communal wafer a day, and communion wafer, sorry. So I did have, that was in my consciousness, but I hadn't paid it a lot of attention. I was aware that it was possible to live with nothing, but I hadn't sort of focused any of my attention on it. But then I saw Artie Anderson. What is she talking about? I thought, this is crazy. It was just, but I was fascinated. And so I kept on just hearing, looking at what people were saying. And then I noticed that Peter had started doing the master fast. And I thought, oh, Peter's doing it. And I thought, I want to do this, you know. But I kept thinking, I can't do it when I'm working, because I was working on a recycling lorry. And I don't know if you get this, but I'm small. I'm like 5'2". Maybe I'm 5'2", or I might be shorter than that. And I've got a very small frame, and I'm not, you know, particularly young. And I was working with big, strong men and young men. So, you know, I had to keep up with these men, and I could, you know, but it was an effort. And I'm thinking, I don't know if I can fast and still do my job. And I ordered the tincture. I thought, well, I don't care. I'm going to do this fast at some point. And I knew that I had a holiday coming up, 2 weeks off work. And I thought, well, I'm going to start doing it on the holiday and see how I feel. So I ordered the Divine 9 tinctures. And they came, and it was way before my holiday. And it was weird because I'd read a few books, and they were just fiction, because I always read. I've always been a reader. but they were all about freedom. And the other thing was, because I used to have to get up quite early in the morning. I think at that point it was about 5:30 in the morning. So I never had time to meditate in the morning. So what had been happening for a few years was, and as I sort of been having more fruits and less other stuff, I was having more energy. So what was happening was, for a few years, I was waking up in the middle of the night, and there was all this sound, beautiful sound, right? I know, call it the ban now. I maybe some people notice that, but anyways, and I would think for me it was like, when people, Muslims, they're called to prayer, and in the Muslim countries they have the minarets that sing, like, or I don't know if it's singing or it's a chanting, and it's like being called to prayer, okay? And I guess Brianna knows all about that. So for me, I would think it was like being called to meditation, this sound. I would think of it almost like the minarets calling the Muslims to prayer. So I was waking up in the middle of the night every night, meditating for an hour. And then I would go back to sleep, and then I'd wake up at 5:30 and go to work. So I would read a little bit at night and go to bed early, read a little bit at night and go to sleep. So I was reading all these books about freedom, basically about, pioneers and stuff like that. And I was really thinking about this 3D world that we live in, and how we're hooked, how certain things hook us into it. And sometimes I would feel a shift in the room. It was like, when I felt a shift in the room, something would happen. Sometimes things would come to me. It was like I could see the space in the room and the energy and feel it. It was different. It was almost like slightly entering another dimension. And this happened this one night. And God said to me, because I was wanting to do the fast and I was nervous about doing it at work. And God said to me, if you do this, I will be with you. And the thing is, as I was thinking, the more I was thinking about doing the fast, my eating was getting a little bit crazy. It was like kind of weird. So God said to me, and I was thinking, I need to do it. I just need to do it and stop thinking about it. And God said to me, if you do this fast, I will be with you. And the other message I had was, everything you need is within you. And the third message was, the bread of heaven, and it was here, the bread of heaven is within you. And it was a Wednesday night. And I thought, I don't care what happens, I'm going to start tomorrow. And I knew I had to, I had a few weeks to work before my holiday, so I was just going to have to do the fast and work. And I just started, because I had everything I needed. And I even had some grape juice in the house, because I'd been, like most people do when they're thinking about first time I buy some grape juice and they put some lemon, give it a little time and see what it's like. So I had some grape juice, so I was ready to go. So I did. And it was great. I mean, I from the get-go, I had so much energy. It was just amazing. And I was so high. And I think a lot of people are like that on their first fast, because you get all this enthusiasm. And so I was working, doing fast. And, maybe I wasn't doing everything perfectly at first, because the protocol was different then, a little bit, not, Rana hadn't put her magic touch on it. as she has now. So, but you know, I pulled it. You know, it all came together, and the first challenge that I noticed was that I had diarrhea, and I know now it was just because I was so acidic. And I asked about it on um, on the on the Facebook group, and Gina said, "Oh, you know, try some bicarbonate of soda, as we call it. We call it baking soda in your enemas."
Mm-hmm.
And that helped. Yeah, that did help. And I think really on that first, because on that, you see, that was I started in May 2016, and I had a very sympathetic and helpful guy that I was driver on the lorry that I was working with. So that was good. And I noticed, you know, that all this very, very quickly, all this problem with my ribs and my shoulders and my neck and my back, it just freed up completely. I was like, I was like, no pain. The thing is, I'd had pain in my shoulders since I was 18. Separate from that, what happened when I woke up and I couldn't move my arm. I'd had problems with this shoulder since I was 18. And I've been seeing a chiropractor for years. And there was just no pain. It all went. And I always used to try, because I've been meditating for years. I always used to try to remember my breath when I was working. I'd be having to work fast, but I'd always try to remember my breath. And one of the other first things that I noticed with the master fast was it just became so much easier. Just to feel my breath and just really within my heart. Even when I was having to run at work, or be around totally asleep people or whatever, on masterclass, I could connect. I could breathe in a way that I hadn't been able to breathe while working ever. Really.
Sorry, Bree, we missed a little bit. You cut out.
So I was able to really connect with my heart space and feel my connection and feel my breath. It freed my breath up because it freed up this area here. And my connection just became easy, available. And the flow of energy, the flow of plasma love, I guess, just started to become more second nature, less effort. And that was a complete revelation to me. I always knew that there was a connection between what you put in your body or didn't put in your body and the spiritual side of life. And as I've said before, at that point, the spiritual side of life was the most important for me. So to be able to actually experience it firsthand, that I'm fasting and I can really feel my connection, was amazing. It was a revelation to me. And be pain-free at the same time as well. I mean, wow, win-win, really. And so then I went on holiday. So yeah, so I was working and working, and that was fine. You know, that fast, it was fine, that first fast. And I'd set out to do 40 days, and I went on holiday. What I'd done was my husband didn't have the first week of my holiday, so I booked staying in this really lovely place for 2 weeks, and I'd arranged for my mum to come on the first week. And so I said to her, well, I'm going to be fasting, because normally when we often shared holidays, and we, you know, she and I would get together and do the food quite often for everyone. And I did say to her, you know, actually, I'm going to be fasting. So, you know, you'll need to sort yourself out with food, you know, because I won't be doing that. And she said, well, she said, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm doing this, you know, I've having this grape juice and lemon, and I told her what it was. And she said, well, I'll do that with you for a week. I said, well, you can share my tinctures then. So, and kidney tea and everything. So she brought some, we brought loads of grape juice. It was like, she brought grape juice and lemons, and I brought grape juice and lemons. It was going, the fridge was so full, it was crazy. And she did it with me through that week. And it was amazing, because I said, well, you have to do enemas. And she said, okay. And it felt an amazing service, because I was helping her to do the enemas, to learn to do the enemas, and which was amazing, you know, it's incredible. And I can remember, I mean, she was better. I mean, the first dry fast I did on that first fast, I only managed 21 hours. I thought I was going to die. I really did. I was lying on the sofa, and I hadn't made my bubbly up in advance. And I somehow had to get to the kitchen and actually make my bubbly up. And I was thinking, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I managed it, obviously, because I'm still here. And she was better at the dry fasting than me. It was weird. So we'd go for walks, and I remember one day there was this amazing walk, and it was a really, really beautiful day. And we got into this incredible, because I was quite a way into my fast by then. And we got into this incredible space. We were just really slow. You know, that really slow down space you can get into when you're fasting. And just everything was just. And we did this walk along this cliff. It was like a cliff top walk. It was really beautiful, with beautiful flowers and everything. I mean, it was the middle of June. And we just kept stopping and gently talking to people and looking at flowers. And this walk was only like something like 2 miles. And it took us all day. The whole, I mean, we stopped and sunbathed and, you know, various other things. But we were not in any rush. We were just in such an amazing space. It didn't matter to us. We went, you know, we had no agenda. We just took this whole day, and it was the most beautiful day. And then we got to because you're basically walking from one lovely beach to another lovely beach along a lovely walk. And then we got to that lovely beach at the other end. And we just sunbathed, and we went in the sea, and then we gently walked back again. And that was like, for me, that was incredible, because I am quite a speedy person by nature, you know, and I can drive normal people mad with how speedy I am. And so for me to get into that space was like, wow. To experience that was like so wow. So anyway, my mum went home after the first week, and the second week my husband came, and my son, because of my son, I have a son who is schizophrenic, And so he still spends time, I try to help him out as much as possible, and spend time with him. And so they came for the second week, and it was kind of a different kind of week, really. It was nice, but different to that. And so I'd aimed for 40 days, but I fell off on day 38. Sadly, I'm really sad about that. And I had some soup. And so instead of just jumping straight back on the fast, I just sort of messed about for a couple of days, sort of feeling guilty and this and that. And then I thought, this is crazy. I feel crap now. And I feel so guilty and I feel terrible. So I just got back on the juice, did some enemas. And so that's what I did then for a little while. I'd do like a few days on the juice. Then I just do a bit of fruit. And then I get back into the juice. Rather than risk getting back in that space I got in for a few days after I fell off my fast, I just kept sort of, if I felt like I was at risk of sort of getting crazy again, I sort of get back on the juice for a couple of days, then do some fruit and some green juices. And so it did balance out after that like crazy time. And so I was basically then I was in kind of a lifestyle of having fruit in the daytime and salads and maybe some like baked sweet potato or baked beetroot or butternut squash or steamed broccoli or something like that in the evening, which was working nicely for me. So I was, I felt like, yeah, I'm okay now. I'm okay. And so then Peter and I went on holiday together in the September, and I mean I knew that I wasn't going to be able to stay with my husband. It was just becoming clearer and clearer to me that I wasn't going to be able to stay with my husband, and that Peter and I we were both aligned on this path of opening our hearts. We were clear, and we've always been clear together. For us, the whole journey is a journey of the heart, of opening our hearts and feeling that flow, that divine flow, that universal flow, and trying to amplify that or let it amplify through us. And so we got together. And if I hadn't have done that first master fast, I would still be living in that family situation. Master fast turned my life upside down. It really, really, truly did. It changed my life. I completely left. And I wasn't walking into an ideal situation either, because we live in a little rented house. Peter was living in this little rented house, and he had, there was another guy living here. It's tiny. And there was like 3 of us, and this other guy had 2 grown-up daughters who would regularly be here as well. It was crazy. It was just crazy. It was not ideal. But I knew that I had to step off that cliff. I knew that I had to let my life change. Otherwise, I was not going to be able to develop and grow in the way that I knew was my life's purpose. I knew that I would be denying. If I didn't take that plunge then, I think I was 58 years old. When was it going to happen? When was I going to start to fulfill my life's purpose? You've got to do it sometimes. It has to happen. So I did, and we made it work somehow. We sure did. We made it work, and then so that was like the end of that was kind of September, and then so November Peter and I started another master fast together. Yes. Wow. That was some journey. And Dave was still living here when we started the Master Fast as well. That was quite strange because he was observing us doing this. And
the first one was 40 days, was it?
38. I meant to do 40.
Yeah.
Fell off at 38. Yeah. So this is the second one now. At the end of 2016. End of 2016, beginning of 2017, because we did the Christmas. So we fasted all through Christmas. It was amazing. That was amazing. It was like completely unplugging ourselves from consensus reality. You know, what everybody else was doing. We didn't want to be involved with Christmas. I've longed to be able to not be involved with Christmas for many years. It was great when my kids were little. But, you know,
the gluttony times. I've done it many times. Fasting through holidays.
Oh, you fasted, yeah. Well, it was amazing. We went away and we rented this tiny little cottage right by the sea, and I remember because the longest dry fast I'd done up to that in my first fast was 45 hours, and I, you know, because of work, I didn't dare do a long dry fast. I couldn't, not while I was working. So over that Christmas period, I did 48 hours, which I thought was pretty good for me. But we had the most amazing experience because we went for a walk, and of course, everybody else was in their houses having their Christmas dinner and whatever. So there was no one around. It was amazing. We went on the beach, and we were both dry fasting, and it was Christmas Day. It was, you know, Christmas Day kind of winter weather. And the sun came out, and I looked at Peter, and he looked, and we didn't have even any towels or swimming costumes or anything. We just threw everything off because there was nobody around, and ran into the sea, freezing cold. Ran out again. Very quickly dried ourselves off with our clothes, or outer clothes, and then got dressed again. You know, we carried on with our walk, and I was getting Peter's better at dry fast. I rephrase that. I don't like to make those kinds of declarations. Peter was better at dry fasting. I'm improving all the time. Yeah, I'm getting better all the time. And so we climbed up this hill, and I got to the top of the hill, and I just lied down on the ground. It was like I was really feeling my dry fast by that time. And the sky was, and I remember saying to Peter, "Can you see the sparkles?" And we were just looking at, we could see the energy, you know, the sparkly energy. We were just really getting into that. It was amazing. And it was also that fast, earlier in that fast, before Christmas, when I started to see the energy, the flower energy, and really feel it coming into my eyes. And that was amazing. And because I remember saying something to you later on about that, and you said to me, or you said, I don't know if you said to me, I think you just said it generally, that don't forget, it's not just to receive, but to give. And so after that, I really started, because I could feel it everywhere. Feel the plants, the trees. I could feel the energy. I could actually feel the colours coming in through my eyes. But I started then to go into my heart space and start to open my heart space more and start to radiate love out back to the flowers or the trees or I mean, recently I did it with the sun. You suggested doing it with the sun, and that was amazing. And so what it would feel like was like this cycle of energy going round and round between me and either the flower or the tree or whatever. And you know, I would never have, I don't think I would have thought of that on my own. That's because you said about that. Don't just don't just receive, but give. So I really thank you for that, because it's been that is an amazing thing to experience. So anyway, after Christmas, we obviously, I only had 3 days off work because of the kind of job that I have. Oh, the other thing, the challenge, one of the challenges I had during that fast was I started to get cystitis, and I started to get it while I was at work. And people who've had cystitis know that you do tend to go to the loo a lot, go for a wee a lot. And obviously, because of the nature of my job, I couldn't just be asking them to take me to a toilet all the time, or else we would never have got the job done. So I had to learn how to really just feel the feeling and transmute it. And I started even being able to pull that horrible cystitis feeling up inside of me and transmute it and either breathe it out sometimes or transmute it into love, which was incredible. And the other thing that I did to help with the cystitis was I was taking cranberry juice as well. You know, I was having the grape juice and lemon juice, grape juice with lemon obviously, but I was also having cranberry juice, which helped as well with the cystitis. And yeah, so that was one of the challenges that I did have early on in that fast. I just forgot to mention, so I thought I'd go back to that. Yeah, we were both shooting for the 108 on that fast. So when I went back to work after Christmas, it was okay for a little. It was okay for a while, but then I got some really. I mean, some people would, I guess, would say I had influenza, but you know, I guess it was just. It happened because I was at a certain phase in my fast, and I was detoxifying, and I was experiencing detoxification, and
that's all it is. Yep.
Yeah. So I was in bed for 2 weeks. I really completely knocked flat on my back for 2 weeks. I was barely conscious. But I knew it was detox, and I just knew that it would be okay. And it's funny, because of my childhood, my weird childhood, I had with fasting and everything. It was always automatic for me anyway not to eat if I felt ill. I'd always done that. So I just kept, doing little back-to-back dry fast. So I'd do a 24-hour dry fast while I was ill. Then I'd have some juice, and then I'd do another 24-hour dry fast. And I really think that helped. But when I phoned in sick, my boss said, "Well, you're not eating." And I thought, "Oh shit, they've noticed that I wasn't eating." And I said, "Well, I've got flu." I mean, I thought it was really unfair, because like there were other people off with flu. So why couldn't I just be off with flu? Why did they have to say it was because I wasn't eating? But I thought, well, I can't argue. I'm just can't argue at the moment. I just need to be in bed and get over this. So when I went back to work, they just issued me with an ultimatum, and that was that I would lose my job. So then things got a little bit strange, because I would have some fruit at work, and I'd have green juices at home. And Peter was still doing his 100, because that was day 72. I had to stop at day 72 because I couldn't risk losing my job. And Peter was still doing this fast, and it was like I got in this very weird space because I was completely isolated at work because of the situation. I was being watched. They put me under investigation. They wanted my doctor's name and address. They wanted all my access. They had to sign a form to say they could have access to my medical records. And I felt, and people were like talking about me, and it was also, at that point I was getting, because of where I was living, further away from work, I was getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. It was like January, February. It was dark. It was cold. And I was going to work, and I was very isolated. And then I was coming home, and I wasn't fasting anymore. Peter was fasting, and I started to feel quite disconnected from Peter as well. So it was, and Dave was still living here, and he was kind of watching all this going on. And it was when I look back on it, it just feels like a very kind of weird and dark time. But it's okay because, it is what it is. And
can you keep your camera more centered? Yeah.
Sorry. Is that better?
A little lower. Okay. Right there.
Do I keep disappearing? Okay. Sorry. So I was okay for a few weeks. I was just staying with the fruit and the green juices, but I was just feeling so isolated, and I was doing a little bit of comfort eating sort of stuff, a little bit of bread, a little bit of toast, stuff like that, and not feeling particularly happy with myself. And just trying to not. I was just trying to not affect Peter in any way, because he was doing his 108, and he was really, right on there with it, and I was just like, just feeling on my own, really. And I went, once Peter had done his 108, it got a bit weird actually, because my very best friend of all my life, she died of cancer. And it was like, I found that she had cancer. She found that she had cancer, and she was like dead within 3 weeks. And she was my best ever friend, my closest ever friend for all my life. I've known her very many years. She was my soulmate. But so it was a weird time. But once Peter finished his fast, and he was on his fruit, and then eventually we got had started having our salads. I got back into the kind of better sort of swing of things, if you know what I mean, because it was nice, making salads together like we used to, and making green juices and planning our fruit meals, and just getting back into our nice masterclass kind of lifestyle. Rude. And Dave moved out, and I think the next fast, we didn't do another fast. So was it about March? Yeah. It was about March when you finished your 108, wasn't it? Yeah, about March. Yeah, about March when Pete finished his 108 days, I think. And the weather was starting to get better. And we didn't, we were getting in a nice groove. With the less is more kind of lifestyle. And I mean, also all through this time, you know, I was getting constant abuse from one of my daughters for leaving my husband. I mean, my son was pretty good. I mean, he was a bit upset, you know, a bit, sometimes he'd say things, but mostly he was pretty good. And my youngest daughter was pretty good. But my middle daughter, she was just abusive to me constantly for quite a long time, and sometimes she still is. So, as well as everything else, I had that going on. And then we did a little 10-day later in 2017. Because I felt I didn't want to just go and do another fast. I needed to wait till I was ready, because that what happened to me with everything, with that 72-day fast and being forced to stop and being sort of feeling isolated, I just felt I needed to give my psyche time to come to terms with all that. So later in the year, I was ready, and we did a little 10-day fast just to see. And that was nice. And we got our bicycles. I remember that. And we started night with a nice dry fast, and we went out cycling. It was funny because I remember you. In the early days, you were always cycling. You were in Italy, I think, and you were cycling and you were driving. Days. Yeah, you did that 12 days, didn't you? You did that 12 days drive path, and you were cycling a lot. So we had our bicycles, and we were doing our dry fast to start our little 10-day fast. And cycling, we just felt, I don't know, felt great. And so we did that. And we were getting into a better pattern with our weekly dry fast and our daily dry fast. And then so we did a 40-day dry fast. A 40-day master fast, sorry. Not a 40-day dry fast. A 40-day master fast. I do remember getting a lot of cravings on that one. I don't know why, but I was okay. But I do remember, because I was surprised, because I thought, well, yeah, I didn't expect quite so many by then. And now Brianna was doing a series of. Brianna was.
What was it? Was Rano's? You said, sorry.
Yeah, Brianna was doing a series of the one where you do
weekly
Masterclass weekly, and I talked about that a lot, and that was very helpful and inspiring to me. There was that, and I think somebody said something about somebody said something about, you know, the reason we eat is just for pleasure, and the reason we fast is for pleasure, and we get to learn the difference between the two. I think it was you, Rana, who said that finding out the difference between how you feel when you're fasting and how you feel when you're eating. And then there was a post by Marin about not feeling cold, because he'd just been fasting forever, I think, and he said he was living in this apartment in Germany or somewhere in Eastern Europe, and it was, you know, cold weather, and he had all the windows open, and people used to come and see him, and they wouldn't stay because they said his flat was so cold. So he's obviously adjusted, because this has always been a thing for me, that I've noticed that I do feel the cold when I'm fasting. And the fact that Marin has obviously gone past that, and he's just having the grape juice and green juices, you know, it doesn't have anything else, and the tinctures, something clicked. It was like, that was another thing. It's like these little things, people say things, and it's like turning a corner, another piece in the jigsaw. And I started to think, well, what I'd like to do next, and with Peter and I talked about it, and he felt that it would be nice, would be to do, because we that Christmas we just had like a Christmas, you know, some cooked food and you know, a few bits and pieces, nothing much, but we felt like what we'd like to do is just do a fast at the beginning of every month, and then see where we went from there. It's kind of, there was quite a few sort of people inspiring us to do that. And so we started at January, and we did 9 days, I think, and then we did February, and we did 9 days, and then March, and then April we decided to do, well, 31st of March, to do another 40 days. And I think I broke, during those mini fasts, I broke my 48-hour dry fast sort of barrier, and did 60-hour dry fast, or 59, I think it was actually. And so 31st of March, we started our another 40-day one. And we were regularly, you know, trying to increase our weekly dry fast hours as well. And so we did the 40-day one, and I did 88-hour dry fast, and that was like phenomenal for me, because I never thought I'd do that. Even 72 hours is like, I thought, I never did 72 hours. 88 hours was like, wow. And so I think, you know, we've been really sticking now to doing 36 to 40 hours weekly, which I find really, really helpful. And going forward, I want to be doing like 36 to 40-hour weekly dry fast, and the 2 days around that being just juice, and then just 4 days of having food, solid food, but you know, considering over a period of time reducing that to 3 days, you know, having 4 days of just juices and dry fast, and increasing that dry fast too, and so just having 3 days, you know, but not pushing, not rushing it, just when it feels appropriate to move into a new phase of less is more. Yeah. And really, you know, I can see the sense of looking to be reducing the amount of food intake as time goes on. You know, it just makes sense, you know. Yeah. Yeah. Well, because I feel that it is food, solid 3D food, is 3D matter food that locks us into this 3D density, and that it's, in order to be in tune and aligned with the subtler energies, I need to be letting go of the data. And, you know, it just makes sense. And it, you know, it makes sense on all levels, really. You know, it's undeniable. But also, the other thing is, so I've always focused on the spiritual. You know, I've always said to myself, oh, well, I'm doing this for spiritual reasons. And it was very interesting for me because I was really following a lot of the posts that Gabby was posting. And I started to really relate to what she was saying. And it started, I thought I could feel her. And I could, it was almost like I could feel her, I could feel her in my body. I could feel what she was experiencing in my body almost. And I realized, because of what she was saying, that because I'd always said this thing, oh, I'm only doing this for spiritual reasons, really I'd been ignoring my body. I hadn't really been listening to my body. I hadn't been understanding the validity of my body in all of this. And so that had been creating challenges for me. And it was only because of Gabby, really, and because I realised that that's what was happening, or seemed to me to be happening to Gabby, because I realised it was what was happening to me. And so now I'm really learning how to be more in my body. It sounds almost like a contradiction in terms that I want to, I want to experience my heart center. I want to experience the subtler energies, but I need to be more in my body. But I get that. I'm starting to get that. You know, I need to pay attention to my body and not ignore it, and not see it as just, oh, you know, that's just physical stuff. You know, because I have a body, and you know, to be here now at this time, I have to have a body. You know, otherwise I'm not here, am I? You know, not on experiencing this reality. So that was really, I'm really thankful to Gabby for that, actually. And so yes, she really helped me. She thinks I helped her with my answer, but she helped me. And I wish I had the opportunity to say that, but I have now. Thank you, Gabby. So I don't know. Yeah, that's it, I guess.
So maybe you want to talk about you did so the first one was a 38, and then your second one, long one, was how long? Sorry,
72.
72. Yeah, okay, I remember it was longer. And now you guys are doing the monthly kind of things, shorter ones.
We've just finished our 40. Well, we finished our 40 for 17 days ago.
Yes.
Oh, another 40.
Yeah, we did a 40. We're not doing.
Nice.
We finished it 17 days ago, and
Nice.
yeah.
Awesome. So the lots of changes since you started implementing this type of lifestyle. Everything's changed big time. You're glowing like never before since you started, anyway. And it's awesome to see people going through these transformations. It's just amazing to witness all these things. But any other major challenges that you overcame that you really weren't thinking about, or besides like physical, some more deeper emotional stuff that came through? I know you've talked quite a bit about that, but anything else that stands out?
Well, I'm very, very lucky, actually, really, because I do know a lady who really helps me on an energetic level with she helped me to learn. She's taught me really about releasing the emotional stuff. And she lives really nearby, and so I do go and see her quite regularly. So I have, I mean, like I said, I have difficulties with my family, and I have stuff around them, you know, that I am working on releasing constantly. And you know, it does come up when I'm fasting. You know, when I'm empty, it does come up. But I mean,
Everything seems to come up.
yeah. But Peter and I do a lot of breath work together, and that's very, very helpful.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes we just lie down flat together and do an hour or so kind of rebirthing technique. But really, since I've been spending more time with Louisa, we don't do that so much because she's really helps us to release this energy and to get to the root, like way back in time as well. Kind of when we were first embodying, and that's very helpful. And we also she has a kind of sharing circle once a month that we go to. And so there are other like-minded people there, and we share, you know, about all that kind of stuff. So that's very helpful. The only thing that's difficult for Peter and I is that she doesn't really share our fasting kind of. She's really not into that, and you know, sometimes it's a bit like, but you know, she is very helpful on an energetic level, so that's good for us. Yeah.
Awesome. Anybody have any questions? Let me see here. What we
I have a question, but I'm not sure. Hi, Bri. How are you?
Hi.
Good. So now you're living on something similar to Master Fast Weekly, or you're back on the monthly schedule that you guys doing?
Well, no, we're just well, we're doing at the moment. We're having green juices, and there's a juice I make with beetroot and parsley and stuff as well, and fruit and a little bit. We've got to have a little bit of salad, but we're doing our like 36 to 40 hour weekly dry, and like so Monday is juice, and then Tuesday is dry, and then overnight dry into Wednesday, say around 1 o'clock, and then juice Wednesday afternoon, and then sort of fruit and salad and things the rest of the week, and then Monday back. Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, so it's a weekly schedule.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it works for us.
Yeah, I like better when it's weekly rather than monthly because it's routine. It's more routine than when it's a monthly.
Yes. You don't get so far away. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
anybody here? Where are we at? Okay, Brianna. It's amazing transformations, continuing, living the lifestyle. You've taken it the bull by the horns and just, continue to live it, which would be nice if more people would comprehend that it's a lifestyle. You can't just jump in one long fast and expect all your challenges to go away. It doesn't work that way. I haven't seen it. You get lots of benefits, but we need to continue with our changes and make it part of our lifestyle. It's the where we start seeing the real magic happen after the years and years of living it. That's really where it's at. And as we go on, we can connect to that less is more, and we start to understand it more and more and more. It's difficult for most of us to comprehend something like this lifestyle less when we've come in from an area of eating so much and believing that we need to eat, 2-3 meals a day, whatever. But we see that, the people that have taken it on and have continued over the past couple of years or so, they're really starting to understand what it's all about, and they're starting to shine more and more and consuming less and less, and really starting to grasp what we're mentoring here of the less is more lifestyle. It's in a world where most people are looking to add things because we're deficient and things are missing. Here we are showing that it's the complete opposite, and we need to subtract and remove subtract things from our lives and remove things from our bodies to help find that balance, which is really so simple when you really sit back and look at it. It's so simple. I can't see it getting any more simpler. It's just the biggest challenge for all of us is dealing with these emotions that start coming up, and one by one, as we work with it and stick with it, it all starts balancing out. It's all wonderful. But I'm so happy, you're sharing and inspiring others, because each person will be able to connect with somebody else, and you're going to be able to touch so many souls that maybe somebody else could not. And this is why we keep doing these, because we all resonate at different experiences and so on and so forth, and every fast is a new experience for each and every one of us. So it's just awesome to have people come and share their experiences and inspire others and support others. And this is what it's all about. And we continue to do this for as long as we can to spread the information and keep the support up. Any last words?
Are you planning to do another master fast?
I can't see us not ever. Not.
Yeah, it's just when, really. When and how long, really.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. It's a lifestyle for us.
Yeah, it's nice to do a nice long one once in a while, right?
Yeah, definitely. The trick in doing either a 40 or you can shoot for once in a while the biggie, the 108, or anything in between the two. Once you pass that 40-day period, it's certainly a very powerful experience. It's definitely exponential, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
The longer you go, it doesn't. It's not just a straight line thing.
Not at all. That's why I really like people to experience the long ones, and maybe for the first one, some people are not ready, but eventually it would be nice to see everybody go through long ones to really gain that understanding, because you can only gain it through the experience. What's Sid's asking, have you any trouble with wheat or soy or something mucus forming?
I can't eat. I would never. I haven't eaten gluten for years. And I couldn't eat gluten.
And you're still pretty reactive to it.
Yeah.
You can't.
I would never try. It terrifies me being around it.
Yeah, the mucus thing is an interesting thing. It's not the foods that make the mucus. It's your body creating mucus depending on the foods you eat to protect itself. And all foods create mucus, just different levels. Fruit would be the least, right, and so on and so forth. So it's interesting that people blame the mucus for the challenges they have, but the body's creating it to protect itself. That's why it's doing it.
Yeah, mucus forming meaning something that's
Yeah.
irritating.
Yeah. It's yeah, these foods they're not, especially these days with what they've changed everything and they modified them and hybrid and GMOs, and it's just a big nasty thing. Dan was it Dan Winters that was listening to his talk today? He was talking about the GMOs, how they will cost your children their soul. It was a very interesting statement. And so we have the answers with plasma. You soak your seeds, your GMO seeds in plasma water, they revert back. So as soon as people start really grasping and understand this new technology, Monsanto's finished. They got no future. If everybody starts soaking their seeds, they won't have any GMO seeds left. So there's always a wonderful spiritual solution for every answer, for every problem out there. And plasmas, I look at as part of our spirit. It's part of creation. We can't separate ourselves from this new knowledge, and it's amazing. But these days, boy, we got a lot of challenges all around us, especially any of us that are living in the bigger cities. It's just we're being bombarded with so many things, and we just being aware of it and focusing on the solutions is how we get around it and start thriving again, no matter what. And it's possible even in the city to thrive. It's a little more challenging, but hey, it can be done. It can be done. Just need to make it a lifestyle. Give the body the chance to clean and regenerate. That's the missing link in most people's lives. They don't give any digestion rest to be able for the body to dump and regenerate. Once you have that in place, it doesn't matter. Just focus on the outcome, and all is well. So if there's anything else you want to add, or we can call it a night. I know you guys are all late up in that area as well. We're at an hour and a half time.
Usually we sit up in bed with watching the Zoom, but we're actually in our proper day clothes, not pajamas, sitting in a chair. Because we thought we'd make the effort.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. All right, so we'll call it a night, and we'll see you back on the page. And keep inspiring, stay focused, and we're all learning. We're all learning. It's a wonderful journey to see how everybody goes through it. It's just amazing. Okay, so thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, Bree, so much for inspiring.
Thank you.
Well, let's keep that plasma love and that flow, and keep inspiring people, because so many people have benefited and continue to benefit from this information. And it's just awesome. So good night and ciao, and we'll see you again.
Bye.
Bye. We'll turn.